This one T makes sense until the moment you need it, and maybe that moment is now. You're searching for knowledge. But what if acquiring knowledge isn't about gathering facts, but about training your mind to see differently? If you're here, something in you is already shifting. You felt that stubborn distance between what you think you know and what you truly understand. I want to tell you what to do. I'll help you see what is already happening inside you through the timeless wisdom of Socrates. Socrates, the ancient Greek philosopher, didn't he write books or build theories in a way we might expect. Instead, he wandered the streets of Athens, asking questions, sometimes uncomfortable questions that challenged others to confront what they thought was true. His method wasn't about delivering answers, but about igniting a spark of self-awareness. He knew that knowledge isn't a destination, but a process. The kind that begins with admitting what you do not know. If you're feeling stuck in your search for truth, consider this. Socrates believed that the first step in gaining knowledge is to recognize your ignorance. It's more than humility, it's an awakening. The beautiful irony is that those who claim certainty often close themselves off from new understanding. So who really knows? The one who dares to say, "I do not know." Why is this so difficult? Because our minds crave certainty like a flame to darkness. Yet, knowledge is not a flame to be grasped, but a horizon to be walked towards. What if the problem isn't that you lack knowledge, but that you're holding onto the illusion that knowledge is something you can fully own? What if true knowledge is fluid, ever-moving like the river Heraclitus once spoke of, and you must learn to flow with it instead of damming it? SFX, footsteps under a stone. To Socrates' method was the elenchus, a form of cooperative dialogue that dismantles false beliefs through persistent questioning. Imagine a conversation where every statement you make is gently peeled back layer by layer, where each answer you give reveals deeper questions waiting beneath. This is not interrogation. This is an invitation to inhabit your own mind more fully. It asks, what do you really mean when you say that? How do you know that it's true? Can you be absolutely sure? These questions are not designed to break you down, but to build you up like a sculptor chiseling away marble to release form hidden within. But here's the twist. Socrates did not believe that knowledge exists outside of self-examination. Know thyself, he said. This ancient injunction whispers across time, inviting you to explore the landscape within. When you truly know yourself, your desires, biases, and contradictions, knowledge gains roots and meaning. Have you noticed how often we avoid looking inward? We gather facts about the world, opinions, strategies. Yet what if that knowledge stays shallow or fragmented without self-clarity? Socrates' teaching suggests if you want knowledge that lasts, knowledge that changes you, begin with turning your gaze inside. What parts of yourself are silent? What truths are hidden behind fear or ego? What if the person who holds the key to your understanding is you, but a version of yourself that hasn't yet been discovered? SFX, water_droplet_falling. 3. There's a delicate tension in this. Socrates challenged people to question everything. Yet he also acknowledged that some things may remain unknown. It's not a failure to say, "I don't know." It is an embrace of an open horizon. So, when you feel lost between what you thought was true and what feels uncertain now, you are in the space where knowledge begins to breathe. One vital lesson he left is this. Knowledge is less about memorizing content and more about an attitude of continuous inquiry and wonder. It requires patience with yourself because questioning is uncomfortable and courage to face the unknown, instead of defending what you believe. Socrates invites you to play with ideas like a child explores their world, curious, fearless, unafraid of making mistakes. What if the true teacher lies in your capacity to entertain doubt? Socrates' wisdom is a quiet rebellion against the confidence that shuts down dialogue. When was the last time you held your beliefs lightly? What did you last say to yourself? Maybe I'm wrong. Let me look again. The power is in that question itself. It destabilizes certainty and opens the door to learning that transforms. SFX, wind_blowing_softly. For now, consider how this plays out in your daily life. How do you approach conversation? Are you listening to reply or listening to understand? Socratic knowledge doesn't aim to win arguments, but to uncover deeper truth, even if that truth unsettles your foundations. It is an ongoing process, a practice more than a product. So, what does it mean to acquire knowledge in the Socratic sense? It means knowing that you are always at the beginning of understanding, not the end. It means valuing questions over answers, and embracing the discomfort of uncertainty as a sign your mind is expanding. It means relating to yourself with curiosity rather than judgment. What parts of your mind have been shut down by routine or fear? What can you uncover if you ask yourself, not what do I know, but what don't I know and am willing to explore? SFX, soft_chimes. 3. The path Socrates offers is not about accumulating information, but cultivating wisdom. Wisdom born from self-knowledge, dialogue, and the willingness to dwell in mystery. It asks you to stand in the paradox that to know is to recognize you do not know. This is not a defeat, it is a liberation. I invite you now to sit with this question. What if the search for knowledge is truly the search for yourself? What if every question you've been afraid to ask is an invitation to come home to your mind and heart? Knowledge, then, is not a trophy, but a relationship, a dance between doubt and insight, silence and voice. SFX, gentle underthrowing. 5. If you remember one thing from Socrates today, let be this. The beginning of wisdom is this awareness of ignorance. When you admit that, your mind stretches open. And in that openness, new worlds of understanding wait quietly for you to step forward. So, when the old certainties crumble, and the weight of not knowing feels heavy, listen for the invitation beneath it. It is not a call to despair, but to awaken. To live with questions like companions, not chains. Because in that space, alive with wonder and inquiry, real knowledge, the kind that changes how you see yourself, and the world begins. What will you ask yourself tomorrow? What question will you bring to your next conversation? Because acquiring knowledge is not a race to an endpoint, but a gentle unfolding of your mind's horizon. Like Socrates, walk it curious, humble, and open. In that walking, you will find that knowledge is never lost. It is rediscovered again and again. SFX, soft_breathing_out. 4. And with this, the journey continues. Let us deepen this journey further, because Socrates' insights extend beyond the initial embrace of ignorance. They invite us to a radical reshaping of how we relate to knowledge and the world around us. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean, the horizon stretching endlessly. This ocean is knowledge. The waves are questions, tides of doubt, currents of reflection. Socrates asks us not to dive blindly or to cling to a lifeboat of certainty, but to become skilled swimmers, learning how to navigate this vastness with grace. Consider now the role of dialogue in acquiring knowledge. Socrates didn't see himself as a solitary thinker. His conversations, often public and sometimes confrontational, show us that knowledge isn't a treasure you hoard alone. It emerges in encounter in the space between minds. Have you ever noticed how your ideas change when challenged gently by another? Or how clarity arises in thoughtful exchange rather than solitary rumination? Dialogue becomes a mirror, reflecting back parts of yourself that remain hidden. When you engage openly, without defensiveness, each conversation becomes an opportunity for growth. But this requires a different kind of listening, a listening not aimed at rebuttal, but at understanding. What happens if you approach others' perspectives as windows rather than walls? What if you begin to see knowledge as communal, something co-create through empathy and openness? SFX, soft_chatter and fitting. 3. The space between questions and answers in dialogue holds a vibrant tension. This tension far from discomfort, is a kind of creative energy. Socrates showed that pressing into this tension is where learning lives. So, what if your moments of frustration or confusion while talking with others are signs you are on the brink of deeper insight? What if disagreement itself is an invitation to discover new layers of understanding, rather than a threat to your ego? Another subtle but vital lesson from Socrates is his caution against sophistry, the art of persuasion detached from truth. In his time, sophists were skilled speakers who could make weak arguments seem strong. Socrates warns us to be vigilant. True knowledge is not about sounding convincing, but about seeking what is genuinely true. How do you measure truth in your life? Is it what feels good, what reinforces your beliefs, or what stands tested under questioning? This leads to a profound challenge. How do you hold the tension between conviction and openness? Socrates invites you to step outside the trap of right or wrong as fixed destinations. Instead, he guides you toward a mindset where beliefs are provisional, fluid steps on a path rather than endpoints. What if being wrong or unsure isn't a failure, but an essential part of learning? SFX, learning. For let us pause here and consider the idea of intellectual humility. This is not self-deprecation, but a balanced awareness of the limits of your knowledge. Cognitive scientists today confirm something Socrates intuited centuries ago, the Dunning-Kruger effect, where those least informed are often most confident, and those truly wise recognize their gaps. Are you willing to explore your blind spots without shame? To see the unknown not as a threat, but as fertile ground? This awareness opens the door to what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole by integrating conscious awareness with the unconscious parts of yourself. Socrates' insistence on knowing thyself points directly to this psychological journey. What aspects of your identity have you examined honestly? What parts have you turned away from in fear or discomfort? Who would you be if you welcomed your contradictions, uncertainties, and shadows? SFX, heartbeat_softly_thumping. 3. When you begin this inward exploration, knowledge does not remain abstract. It becomes deeply personal, grounded in your lived experience. The ideas you have studied no longer float detached, but resonate like notes in your own song. This fusion of inner and outer knowledge is essential to living wisely. Now, Socrates also taught that sometimes knowledge means recognizing when to act and when to refrain. The famous phrase, "The unexamined life is not worth living," reminds us that conscious reflection is a form of ethical responsibility. How does what you know influence your actions? Are your choices aligned with what you discover through questioning? And if not, what parts of you resist this alignment? Knowledge and virtue were inseparable for Socrates. To know the good was to do the good. This is a lesson in integrity that challenges contemporary notions of knowledge as simply intellectual. True knowledge carries with it an imperative call to live authentically according to the truths you uncover. What would it mean for you to embody the wisdom you seek rather than just think about it? SFX, soft_breeze_passing. 3. As we continue, it's crucial to acknowledge the existential courage required for this pursuit. Socrates faced his own mortality with a calm born of unwavering commitment to the examined life. When confronted by death, he refused to abandon the search for truth. This courage asks you, what fears arise when you truly embrace uncertainty? What parts of you cling to certainty because of fear of being wrong, alone, vulnerable? This is the heart of Socratic teaching. Knowledge is not safe, but it is alive. And in its aliveness, it demands that you meet yourself honestly, without pretense or evasion. But this encounter, however daunting, brings the promise of transformation. The chain of illusions that limit your vision begins to break, and the clarity that emerges feels like sunlight after a long night. SFX, rain_softly_falling. 5. And so the last vital lesson. Knowledge is a conversation with life itself. It cannot be forced or rushed. It asks for patience, presence, and a willingness to sit with discomfort until the next insight arrives. Socrates' life was a profound example of this, unfolding a dialogue stretched across years with himself and others. What is your dialogue with life today? What questions are you alive with? Hold them gently, for they are the gateways to deeper knowing. The work is ongoing and the path uncertain. But as Socrates showed, starting with honest questioning and sustained self-reflection, knowledge becomes not just something you own, but a light guiding your way. SFX, soft_bells_tinkling, for if you listen closely, you can hear the footsteps of Socrates beside you, not telling you what to believe, but inviting you to ask, to listen, and above all, to keep moving toward the horizon of understanding, one question at a time. Let this be your companion as you walk forward, the art of questioning, the courage of humility, and the quiet power of self-knowledge. Because in that sacred space, you begin to truly acquire knowledge in the deepest sense, knowledge that frees, knowledge that transforms, knowledge that awakens the soul. And so, I leave you with this. What question will you carry tomorrow? How will you step into the unknown with openness, curiosity, and a spirit unafraid to say, I do not know yet? SFX, gentle_wind. 5. The journey of knowledge, as Socrates teaches us, is never about arriving, but about living fully in question. And in that living, we find the richest wisdom of all.